Welcome to the Deep Dive.
Mm.
This is where we take your sources, could be articles, notes, even surprising online threads, and really pull out the key insights for you.
Mm-hmm.
Today, we're diving into something, well, incredibly rich and personal. The whole landscape of masculine identity as it's evolving.
Yeah, it's a huge topic.
It is. And our sources are this fascinating mix. We've got personal stories from places like Reddit, alongside more expert analyses from articles.
Right.
The goal here is to unpack what it really means to be a man today, especially looking through the lens of transmasculine experiences.
And what's so compelling, I think, is how these different voices, these experiences, they don't just explain masculinity, they actually reshape our understanding of it.
Exactly.
We're going to explore, everything from those really deep personal feelings about one's body right up to these bigger societal shifts. So it kind of begs the question, doesn't it? How do these lived realities challenge and maybe expand how we define gender now?
That's the perfect starting point.
Mm.
Because, when a lot of us think masculinity, a very specific image probably pops up.
The traditional one.
Right. Strength, maybe stoicism.
Yeah.
That whole John Wayne thing.
Sure.
But what these sources show really powerfully is that for many people, and especially transmasculine folks, the experience is just so much more fluid, internal and personal than those old boxes allow for.
Absolutely. And while intellectually many of us get the idea that masculinity isn't just tied to biology, that it's more about behaviors, presentation, social roles that are kind of constructed.
Right, socially constructed.
What these sources really bring home is how that plays out in real life. It's one thing to know it, another to really feel its impact,
Fully.
So the real question is, how are people actually navigating that?
And that's where it gets really interesting, isn't it? You see so many transmasculine people talking about their identity in ways that aren't like 100% binary male.
Not at all.
You hear terms like gender fluid or demiguy. Someone described that beautifully as maybe 90% masculine and 10% something else.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, or genderless, non-binary man, even femboy.
Yeah.
It just paints this picture of a spectrum, not just two dots on a line.
And that really sharpens the difference between gender identity, who you know yourself to be, and gender expression, how you show that to the world.
Right.
So, for instance, you get people who identify as male, but they genuinely enjoy things traditionally seen as feminine, like makeup or dresses, but they see themselves as a man in a dress. It's not about feeling feminine inside.
That distinction is key.
Yeah, or others might prefer a more androgynous look, even if they're pursuing medical transition steps like hormones or surgery. It shows how identity and presentation can, interact in complex ways. Sometimes they align, sometimes they don't.
That's such a crucial point. And sometimes it's not even about pure preference, is it?
How do you mean?
Well, some people mention feeling this pressure, this real need to present as very stereotypically masculine just for safety.
Right.
Especially in places where being trans isn't safe or accepted. It's a tough reminder that external factors like societal pressure or danger can really shape how someone expresses their internal self.
That's a heavy reality. It complicates the idea of authentic expression.
It really does. So, okay, we've talked about the fluidity of identity. Let's get into something maybe even more fundamental.
Mm-hmm.
What does it actually feel like? For these individuals, what's the lived experience of masculinity? And the sources show it's often incredibly physical, almost visceral.
Yeah.
One person put it as automatic relief because my body matches what my brain expects.
Wow.
Or another, simpler one. When they look down and my brain does the smile emoji, just that simple image says so much.
It really does. And that sense of physical rightness of alignment seems absolutely central for so many. Many people talk about medical transition, whether it's hormones like T for testosterone or top surgery, bottom surgery, as being just fundamental, key to feeling at home in their bodies.
At home. That phrase comes up a lot.
It does. And someone else described it as feeling like an integral part of the life plan nature had intended for me. There's this sense of deep, almost innate correctness.
Which leads to another thing. Many people describe this feeling of it being a natural fit, or sometimes even an upgrade compared to how they felt before.
An upgrade. Interesting.
Yeah. And one analogy really stuck with me. Someone said, transitioning felt like when you unpack a mattress and it expands and goes back to its intended shape after being tied up in a box for so long.
Oh, that's powerful.
Isn't it? The idea of a body finally, unfolding into its proper form.
It's an incredible metaphor, and it really echoes what others said, like feeling that pretending to be female was like constant discomfort and pain.
Right, that baseline of pain.
Yeah, while transitioning felt like, this is what being human feels like. It just speaks volumes about the relief, the sheer relief of finally living authentically after maybe years of feeling out of sync.
And it's not just about the big internal shifts either. It's also about kind of the ordinary stuff,
Like what?
like everyday things, raising kids, having sex, just picking out clothes in the morning or going for a job interview. These things suddenly mean a lot because they can finally only do them comfortably as a man.
So the mundane becomes meaningful.
Exactly, how the everyday stuff gets reframed through that lens of authenticity. It's fascinating.
It really is.
Okay, so transition obviously changes the internal world, but it also hugely shifts how people see and interact with the external world, right?
Absolutely. A major theme was perception.
Yeah, like many trans men talked about gaining much more empathy and compassion for men after transitioning. And less fear around men, too.
Mm-hmm. Seeing things from the inside, perhaps.
Exactly. Like this new perspective helped them understand the social pressures that cis men whose gender matches their assigned sex at birth might face.
Which gives them this really unique vantage point, doesn't it? A sort of insider view that maybe even cis men don't consciously recognize in the same way.
Yeah. Some even said they felt they'd never really been inside being a woman, even though they were seen as one for years.
Wow.
It just highlights how profound the shift is, not just personally, but socially, how they experience gender in the world.
And that leads into that really interesting discussion around what some call men's privileges.
Right, that came up quite a bit. People describing feeling safer walking alone at night, for example.
Or less pressure about appearance.
Yeah, not being constantly expected to look good or feeling less judged in certain situations. But what was really striking was the observation that often cis dudes don't see that privilege.
The invisibility of privilege to those who have it.
Exactly, which they said sometimes leads to defensiveness when the topic's brought up.
That's a really tricky dynamic. And it's not like the social side is all smooth sailing post-transition either, is it?
No, definitely not. While lots of guys reported really positive, supportive bonds with other men, someone used the phrase golden retriever energy, which I loved.
Nice.
Others shared really tough experiences, particularly transphobia coming from cis women.
Really? Cis women specifically?
Yeah, especially older women, according to several accounts, describing reactions like intense grief or being treated like traitors for, leaving the sisterhood.
Oof, that's complex. A sense of betrayal, almost.
It sounds like it. So the social landscape is definitely complicated.
And it's important to remember, too, that this evolution of masculinity isn't only about trans experiences, right?
Good point.
The sources also touch on the broader societal shifts happening anyway in the 21st century. There's this growing emphasis, generally, on things like empathy, emotional expression, vulnerability for all men.
Challenging that old stoic mask.
Yeah. Precisely. And they mention public figures like Harry Styles or Terry Crews as examples of people kind of normalizing more diverse ways of being masculine.
Yeah, expanding the definition.
Exactly.
Okay, so beyond the internal feelings and the social shifts, there are often really tangible benefits to living authentically as a man. Let's talk about those.
Right. The positive outcomes.
A big one was mental health. So many people talked about just improved mental health.
Yeah.
Less daily dread, less depression.
A lifting of that weight.
Totally. Leading to what one person called daily neutrality or positivity, just from having the right hormones in their system.
Yeah.
Another person even said that on testosterone, they felt a stillness that is comforting, just that image of inner peace.
That's really striking. And this emotional shift, it seems profound, though not always simple.
How so?
Well, some mentioned a kind of frustrating difficulty in crying, even when they felt sad or moved.
Oh, interesting. The physical response changed.
Yeah, but others reported feeling more equanimity, more composed maybe. It just highlights how complex male emotional expression is, influenced by both internal changes and what society expects.
That makes sense. And friendships changed too, apparently.
In what way?
Many describe finding friendships with other men that felt deeper or more genuine.
That brotherhood connection.
Yeah, exactly. A sense of brotherhood, feeling more respected, less judged. One person just loved the ability to have a middle school boy's humor without judgment.
Finding your tribe in a way.
Yeah, just being able to relax into that kind of camaraderie.
And you know what else kept coming up? The practical stuff.
Oh, yeah. Like what?
Clothes.
Mm-hmm.
Specifically, comfortable, functional men's clothes.
Okay, I can see that.
And the sheer unadulterated joy of fucking pockets.
Pockets, it's true, they're important.
Apparently, it was mentioned so many times, often with a laugh, but it speaks to this subtle sense of freedom, doesn't it? Freedom from that constant pressure to be presentable or look overtly feminine.
Yeah, the tyranny of inadequate pockets. It's a small thing, but it represents something bigger.
Exactly.
So wrapping this up, what does all this mean for you, the listener?
Well, I think it means seeing that this idea of positive masculinity, one that values empathy, nurturing, collaboration, alongside maybe more traditional strengths,
Hmm.
isn't just for some guys, it's potentially for all men. It's about empowering everyone to define their masculinity on their own terms.
Yeah, integrating all those different parts of yourself, whether they're seen as traditionally masculine or not, for just greater well-being, a
Yeah.
more authentic life.
Right.
It really points towards a journey, doesn't it?
Right.
Towards something less rigid, more inclusive, an identity where, as one source put it, strength and vulnerability are not mutually exclusive.
Beautifully put. This whole deep dive really drives home that masculine identity is just, it's not fixed. It's not a monolith.
Not at all.
It's this rich, complex tapestry woven from individual lives, internal feelings, cultural shifts, and just this powerful, universal human drive to be authentic, to be ourselves. And the insights from these transmasculine experiences, they're such a potent reminder that there's no single right way to be a man.
Yeah.
And that embracing things like vulnerability, emotional honesty, these are actually strengths, profound strengths. Which leaves us with a final thought, perhaps?
What?
Thinking about all these transformations, personal and societal, what might it actually look like if our society as a whole genuinely nurtured this broader, more inclusive understanding of masculinity? For everyone, what could that unlock?